23rd day of December. Sorry, 2020. I'm privileged to be alive this day and to be in a position to share a summarized version of my life as an orphan. I really love this song that is playing in the background by Deborah Lucalo, Pastor Kevin, and Ovi Prince. But before talking about it, I would love to address the obvious things that we read and hear about in the news all the time. We read and hear about war, disease, poverty, natural disasters, abandonment, and even accidents. These are among the core causes or leading causes to children like us being orphaned. Because who is an orphan in the first place? An orphan is a child who has lost one or both parents. Within and aside from the aforementioned cultural pressures, like once you are an orphan, you encounter cultural pressures like being forced to marry early, just so that this caregiver or relative can pass over the responsibility to your husband. We encounter neglect, being treated as non-existent in terms of provision. For example, when one asks for sanitary towels, if you're a lady, are you being told that you're not part of someone's budget? Whenever you ask for inner clothing, like even any inner clothing, you're being told to learn how to make your own instead of buying. When you even report your first menstrual cycle day, you're being told that that's good and normal and that you're welcome aboard, instead of being sat down, being taught how to keep yourself now extra clean, being taught how to wash yourself and the items properly, and just being educated on the true implications of that stage to you sexually, like what are the consequences, what the do's and don'ts. As orphans, we experience abuse emotionally. Sometimes when you hear those that you expect, those that you've held in high regard, just talking low about you, gossiping about you, instead of correcting you with love. Some of us have even experienced domestic violence in the name of being disciplined, just being hit roughly in the name of being disciplined. Some of us have experienced child slavery, being treated as house pets to an extent that our caregivers leave that lying around in the name of siatafanya, she will come and do it, knowingly. Some even leave unflushed toilets for us to clean, which is very disgusting, by the way. Don't ever do that to someone's child. Some of us orphans experience religious iniquity and child prostitution, for that matter, men who just take advantage of our vulnerability in the name of provision. These are closely associated with children without parental care and may not be a child that has lost parents too. There are these children who maybe find themselves in a situation where they live with a blind or ill relative or old relative who actually loves them but can't take care of them. So they also just go through situations similar to that orphans go through, and thus their end result is more likely to be the same as the one that orphans go through. So what do you think happens to an average orphan child beyond suffering and the ultimate tragedy of death? The children that do survive often do so in ways that demean and sometimes even criminalize them in some way to some extent. The sad reality, though, is that if a good and caring person is not there to provide for what us as orphans need, then who will? Child labor bosses, terrorists, rebel armies with children soldiers, or child traffickers, or even less than goodwill relatives who want a personal slave out of us. All these are options that we are left. are with as orphans. As sad as it sounds, these are the only orphans or any options that we are left with as orphans. So emotional and behavioral problems are bound to kick in at some point, and they are very common among orphans and vulnerable children because they are exposed to abuse, they're exposed to exploitation, they're exposed to negligence, they're exposed to lack of love and care. They are also most likely to be emotionally needy. You'll find out that most orphans tend to be clingy. They need that love and care that they missed in their childhood. You'll find out that most orphans appear insecure because they didn't live around affirmations. Most of the time they lived around people who looked down at them. They lived around people who abused them. They lived around people who didn't see any value in them. There are people who look at a situation as an orphan and just give you a tagline as poor, as needy. You'll find out that most orphans, because they don't have parents to provide for them, will be in a poor situation financially because they don't have anyone to give them what they need. So in addition to these factors, most of them are brought about up in institutional homes where individual care is actually inadequate. All these factors can socially and emotionally impair these orphan children. So on such a day as this, the 23rd day, at around 3 p.m., the 23rd day of December, at around 3 p.m. in the year 2003, just a month before I became a candidate, my dear mom went to be with the angels, with the Lord. I must confess that I had dreamt about her death, the same way that I dreamt about my dad's death a night before. But I think because of denial, I never just spoke about it to anyone. But deep within me, I kept asking God why He saw it fit that I should be a total orphan. Why I'm an orphan who is a firstborn, and an only girl among boys. There are so many questions in my mind back then. I remember wailing so much in disbelief. Sorry for that. I even lost my controls. I remember peeing in my pants. But it happened. I remember trying very hard to wake up my mom, but all in vain. I still remember that I was from a confirmation class, being an Anglican by faith, courtesy of my mom, and was to be confirmed on the 25th of that very month, that same year. And I remember my godmother talking, and my guardian talking to me and telling me you'll still be confirmed no matter the situation, because that's what your mom wanted of you as a firstborn. So I remember that after wailing, I started asking myself, what would be of our young family. And because I was so young, I think 12 years old, and then my brother was my immediate follower was in class 4, then the one that follows him was in class 1. You can imagine, our last born was only 3 months. So I kept asking God what would be our very young family, and immediately remembered that no matter what I had to be strong and there for my brothers, as my mom had requested me the previous day before her demise. I must say that I did not know how that would happen, but I just knew that I had to be there for them. So much has happened in my life ever since, but one thing remains true, that God has been faithful to this very day. He did shut our door to good parenting, but open other amazing doors for us to prevail in this lifetime. Being an orphan hasn't been a walk in the park, though. Sometimes I've had to beg just to be helped. Sometimes I've had to act strong when I was at my weakest. Sometimes I've had to take punches just so that my brothers don't have to encounter those punches in their future life. Sometimes I've had to be looked down at for my lack of knowledge in matters life. Sometimes I've had to make strong decisions by myself, even as a child. Even back then, I've had to make strong decisions for me by myself and stand by them by myself. And it's not an easy thing. Many orphans can attest to. Sometimes I've been abused, chased out of places, and many times, because I'm just human, I've made wrong decisions. And the beauty about me making wrong decisions is I was quick to learn from my mistakes. I've had to also learn to forgive myself in the process. I believe in myself, and above all, love myself, because if I don't love myself, I don't have parents that will love me entirely. So who do I expect to love me? So I've learned to appreciate myself, love myself, believe in myself, and forgive myself whenever I do a mistake. Thanks to my mother's life lessons, my guardians and relative support, my brother's shoulders and friends, and I mean true friends who've been there for me throughout that journey, who I've been able to lean on, and the internet. I've survived to growing from being a little 12-year-old girl to a current 29-year-old lady who is even a mother to a very handsome boy who looks exactly like my dad. So yes, no orphan I've talked to enjoyed being an orphan. Many are yet to heal from the psychological trauma of losing their parents, encountering their relatives' true colors. You know, when you have parents, your relatives tend to act like they love you, they care about you, they value you. But once your parents leave this world, hi, my goodness. From what I've heard and what I've experienced sometimes, relatives will treat you like you are, yani, hauna dhamana yoyote, so many orphans are yet to recover from such ill treatment and not being able to foot their bills. As an orphan, you just need to do your maths right and know how you're going to foot your bills sometimes. Many orphans are yet to heal from having to endure life's hardships alone. And sometimes you keep asking God, why me, why me? And also devise means and ways of survival, because this life, there's this saying that goes that only the fittest will survive. So survival is only for the fittest. So as an orphan, we've learned to count ourselves among the fittest so that we can survive. Many have not healed from the psychological trauma of being judged and misunderstood, because I remember my mom telling me that only your mom will be able to understand you regardless. And so since most of us don't have moms in this world, the ones who are left find it hard to understand us. Some even judge us wrongly, without even asking. In fact, there's this incident that I came across. In high school, I used to be a counselor, a peer counselor. So I was talking to one of the orphans in high school, and she was also in high school. She had developed this reaction called thrush in their private part area, just because of taking too much sugar, because they were still virgins as far as I'm concerned. But on contacting a relative about the same, the relative started spreading word of how this orphan girl was already sexually active in high school, thus contracting STIs, and expecting now the relative to treat them there for their STIs. So many questions. So my questions to this and such kinds of relatives is, who did you expect this orphan girl to contact in the first place when she is in problem? Who did you expect her to contact? What did you gain from speaking ill of her and spreading bad word about her? Ulifaidika na nini? Wajua? If this was your child in high school, would you have done the same? Would you have reacted the same way that you reacted to this orphan girl's request? I don't think so. Did you even take your time to sit her down and ask her if she is indeed sexually active before speaking ill about her? I don't think so. What role did your gossip play in her healing process? Did your gossip play any role in her healing process? I doubt. And what does God expect of you as a relative to that girl? Does God expect you to gossip? Even as caregivers, it's so easy to distinguish what we are supposed to do with these children sometimes when we are stranded. Just think of what God would expect you to do to this child at that very crossroad that you're being faced with. In this situation, did God expect you to gossip about that girl's request? No. As orphans, we are privy to such situations and encounters. It's not new. I should say for sure. So what life lessons did I learn as an orphan? What life lessons have I learned to date as an orphan? Because being an orphan is a lifetime thing. It's not going to change anytime soon. So as an orphan, I've learned that anyone who saw my parents as competition also sees me as such. Anyone who hated my parents also hates me. Anyone who loved my parents also loves me. In short, the society views me and treats me as a reflection of my parents. So it's, this lesson has made it easy for me to know who to go to whenever I'm in need. I can't go to people who hated my parents for help whenever I'm in need. No, I go to those who loved my parents, because chances are high that they're going to treat me also with love. I also learned that no one owes me anything. In fact, they are just doing me a favor, and I'm sincerely grateful to them for the sacrifice that they've made. Anyone who's ever sacrificed the resources financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, I am grateful to them for the sacrifice that they made, and may God bless them immensely. They know themselves. In the process, I also learned to trust God and myself more, and put into action life lessons that my mom taught me whenever I'm faced with crossroads in life. Because as an orphan, it's not easy for me to just trust anyone with my problems or start talking about myself with people. So whenever I'm faced with crossroads, that I am my own consultation, which normally is the case being a firstborn. I don't have anyone to look up to or talk or discuss life matters with. So whenever I'm faced with crossroads, I always remember to put into play the life lessons that my mom has taught me. It almost feels sometimes like I'm living in her shadow, like she always guides me in every step of my life, of the way. I also came to the realization that blood or no blood, someone's action define where their intentions for my life are. I remember my mom telling me to be very observant with people or anyone I interact with, because their actions will actually define their intentions more clearly than their words would. So unajua hao watu wanaokuambia nakupenda, wewe ni mtoto wa dada yangu, wewe ni mtoto wa ndugu yangu, wewe ni nini, but whenever you encounter their actions as speak different language. So I've learned to actually observe people's actions and categorize them accordingly in my life. So being an orphan has made me develop a very strong personality. Many people say that I have a strong personality. I didn't have a choice. I just had to develop it for survival, okay? It has made me become a go-getter. Because if I don't go to get stuff for myself, I don't have any shield, any parent, and some of you have moms, you can just call, mom, sina unga, mom, sina mboga leo, nalala njaa na atakuletea. My mom would do that, but since she's not around, if I sleep hungry, it's by choice. If I get something to eat, it's also by choice. So I have to go out there and get what I need, wisely also, not just stupidly. I've also learned to be kind and caring to anyone that needs my attention. Having a clear and clearly understood what it means not to have someone who cares about you, someone who's kind to you when you need it the most, I decided to be the exact opposite. It has made me responsible and answerable to me and God first, because any action that I make, I will be the one to face the consequences. And I want to just also tell any other orphan out here that you're number one answerable to yourself, because ukifanya mambo mabaya ni wewe tu utavuna, ukifanya mambo mazuri ni wewe tu utavuna. So be answerable to yourself, and in case you are stranded on how to go about life, believe in God's word. Like even basically the 10 commandments give you a direction of what you're supposed to do and not do to succeed in life. I've also learned to shield myself from those that want to misuse me, and above all, love with sincerity. Because unajua ukiwa pale hospitalini unamwona kwamba mama yako amefariki, hana nguvu, haongei, hawezi kukongelesha tena, hawezi kucheka na wewe tena, hawezi kukulinda, kuprotect tena, you understand that death is real. And I want to tell everyone out here, death is real. Every day you have to live every day like it's your last. Usingoje ati okay, sure, what if tomorrow doesn't come? Only God knows about our tomorrows. We don't really know about our tomorrows. So to all orphans out there, stay encouraged and trust in God, because He remains to be faithful, and He will be your parent year in year out. Mungu hatachoka na wewe kama watu wengine wanavyochoka na sisi. But God, I will always be your parent. To all caregivers out there, don't take advantage of these orphans by using them, misusing them, abusing their presence for your benefit, because God is their dad, and God will definitely reward you for your actions in full, and you shall live to see the ones that you mistreated and handled like trash. Wale umewatreat kama au ni uchafu au ni matapishi au ni nini, hawafai, hawastahili. Mungu atawainua na atawaketisha mbele ya wafalme, wale na wafalme in high places when you watch. Okay, because God is the dad of the orphans. To the society at large, orphans are not a mirror of their parents' mistakes, so don't judge them as such. They are children just like others. They need to be loved, they need to be cared for, and they need to be taught, to be guided and protected. And if you have to correct them with love, not with violence, please. They are bound to make their own mistakes. Orphans are also just humans. Usikae hapo useme huyu ni yatima tunamsaidia na bado anafanya ujinga. No, just accept that they are also human. They can make their own mistakes the way you make your own mistakes, and they will learn from them. Give them that room to grow as normal human beings. If by any chance you can't add a taste to orphans' life, please don't add any salt to their injury, because orphans are already injured beings. To my mom, my dear mom, I really love you like dearly to death. I still love my mom. I still love her. I miss her sometimes, but I'm always glad to always walk in her wise teachings whenever I'm stranded. Mom, please continue resting with the angels in heaven. 17 years and counting. I sometimes remember how warm your body felt on your deathbed. You smiled when on your deathbed. How lively you were, even in your own company. My mom would dance to her own music. My mom would go out there and skip a rope with children. My mom was super jovial, hakuwa anahitaji mtu ati awe kwa kampani yake, hapana. She was sufficient by herself, okay? Alikuwa tu anajipenda, anafurahia, anadance akitaka, And I still remember how caring you were to anyone who needed your care, how strict you were to anyone who crossed your path wrongly, how forgiving you were to those that did you wrong, how prayerful you were each day, how high your life standards were as a woman. I still remember how down to earth and hardworking you were. My mom was all round, by the way. She never chose ati mamangu alilima, aliweka ng'ombe, akauza maziwa, alikuwa na salon, she had a retail, sell out point. Hakuwa anachagua. And all this time she also had her career running. Okay? So she's a woman who never believed in expecting men to provide for you everything. In fact, she always counted on her own 5 shillings more than any man's 20 shillings. My mom was all around, and she taught me that as a woman you need to know some of these things, so that when you find yourself alone in a situation, maybe as a widow or even uko peke yako tu na bulb iharibike, utaka ungoje mwanamume ama plumber ama sink iharibike, utaka ungoje mtu mwingine aje akutengeneze? Hapana. As a woman you should know. In fact, she told me this. Let me try and paraphrase her statement. Ukiweka nywele, jua kujishuka matuta. Okay? As in anything that you do, know your way around it. Okay? Kama ni unaishi kwa nyumba kubwa, jua from the roof to down, you can do something about anything that goes wrong. Like, be self-sufficient for your own good. That's who my mom was. I still remember that those and many other things about her to date. And today is her 17th year death anniversary, but I still celebrate her. Hope my story and life lessons have shed some light to 1 or 2 tricky areas in the lives of orphans, caregivers, and even the society at large. Remember to give this video a huge thumbs up, comment in the comment section in case you need details to anything or you need me addressing a certain life topic that maybe concerns you, and share this video because you don't know who needs it. Don't forget to also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Asarayuma Born to Share, for more inspirational clips. And also be a blessing and not a curse to any orphan you meet, because orphans have already gone through so much. Surely don't add salt to their injury. Don't add salt to their injury. If you can't love them, just let them be. God will sort them out in one way or the other. And when you treat, or when you're a blessing to orphans, you'll encounter God's favor, because God is the father to the fatherless. So if you treat an orphan with kindness, God will sure bless you. And because being an orphan is not a choice that some of us choose. Mimi ningeulizwa sahi, kuna situation huwa ninatamani niwe na mama wangu, na kuambia there are situations and instances that I miss my mom. If I was to be asked right now, I'd want my mom to be alive, but I can't do anything about it right now. So it's the circumstances that we find ourselves in, and we have to endure that circumstance and situation for a lifetime. So don't judge us harshly in case you encounter that maybe we don't know how to do something, maybe we don't know how to cook, we don't know how to dress up, we don't know how to clean, we don't know. Orphans just don't know things about life widely, because most of the time tunalelewa tu vaguely, like no one takes time to go into the details of how you're supposed to do stuff, like our moms and dads would do it for us. So don't judge us harshly. Sometimes we just don't know, and if you are in a position to direct us or guide us, please do so, and indeed you shall be blessed. I just want to finish by singing this song that I've been listening to, and I want to encourage any orphan out there, any person who has gone through so much in life, that God is indeed using your pain and turning around your pain, writing a happy story out of your pain. God is turning your story around for your glory, for his glory, okay? And this song is by Deborah Lukalu and Pastor Kevin and Ovi Prince. So I'm just going to sing a bit of it before I close. Don't forget to subscribe below.